Let's talk Forspoken, everybody. After the Game Awards, the Forspoken demo released to everyone around the world, which was
a big shocker.
Very big shocker. I was very surprised by that. This was a surprise. This game comes out the end of January, so it'll be coming, I think it's like January 20th, January 23rd, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. But it is a game that I personally have been excited about for a while. I don't know why, because this really isn't always like my type of game. It's very like RPG-esque kind of thing, but
Skyrim.
I like there's a unique character where she's like, living in the modern day, and then all of a sudden somehow she just gets like teleported to this like fantasy world, and she has to defend herself, and then she has magical powers through the use of this bracelet that talks to you, a la Mimir from God of War, that kind of thing. So it's just like you're walking around, this like bracelet thing has got a British or some kind of accent, I think it's probably British, talking to you about stuff, and it like helps to kind of make the time go by and all that stuff. But basically the way the tutorial is set up, or the way the demo is set up, is it starts you off into this little mini tutorial where you get to learn how the game plays, and then it opens you up into this big huge world that you can just roam around and do various. You have a mainline quest, and you have a bunch of little like side things that you can do, and it's about an hour and a half worth of gameplay to run through. And the first thing about this game that I thought was very interesting is not interesting. First thing that I thought about this game that was very not interesting is that they talk a lot in this game.
Yeah, they do.
There's a shit ton of talking. Like, she's talking to the freaking bracelet, the bracelet's talking to her, and they just keep on going. And some of the dialogue is stuff? Yes. Sometimes the dialogue's kind of cringy. Like, in like God of War and stuff like that, I feel like Kratos and Mimir like talk to each other a lot, or the person you're with like talks and stuff. But they're like usually really funny.
And it's usually interesting.
Yeah. Building the story and stuff like that. This one was also trying to do that same thing, but it just didn't feel as good. It just wasn't as well written.
Well, then in God of War, like when you're traveling, you talk, but once you get to a location where stuff can happen, they're like, "Oh, we'll get back to this later."
Yeah, we'll get back to it later. And revisit
yeah,
it.
exactly. This one definitely had some stuff. It wasn't as much going on when you're in combat, but it definitely was a little bit of a distraction.
Was it a demo thing? You think they're doing it because it's a demo?
It could be. Maybe they're just trying to like build in the story a little bit sooner. I don't know. But combat is actually really, really interesting. The thing that I'm concerned about the combat is it's complicated. Like, it's actually very complicated to get moving.
Do you think it's complicated just because they give you everything? They give you everything, like all the abilities, all the powers, everything, and you can just switch through them and play around. You didn't have time to lead up to that. You know what I mean? To practice with it and get good and get like really good at it.
It's possible.
That's what I was feeling. That's why I kind of stopped playing it, because it was just too much. It was overwhelming. Which I don't mind. I mean, if I sat here and spent time on it and really play with each ability and each spell and each like dodge capability and all that jazz, I would get the hang of it. But I felt like it wasn't a good tutorial system into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. I don't know if like whenever you start the actual game, like if you're just going to start with like one spell with the defense. So the way it's set up is you have a defensive and an offensive set of spells. And you don't have any like actual like sword fighting abilities or anything like that. It's just like spells that you cast. So you have the offensive side, and on the offensive side, you can equip up to 3 spells to that offensive side. So you're basically holding down. I think it's like R1 or R2. Mm-hmm. One of the two. You hold it down, and you can like move it around to pick the spell. And then I think you press R2 to cast that spell once you've selected it. And then when you get offensive spells, you're gonna be like buffs that help your stats, or they help you defend, or whatever. And that's with L1. And then that has a set of 3 spells. So ultimately you have 6 spells at your disposal that use either the left trigger or the right trigger. Left being offensive, right being offensive. And there's also a split set of spells with different kind of like, so people that have been playing God of War, there's a point where you unlock Valor versus Rage, where you can switch your Rage, between Valor or Rage, one being health and one being attack. This has a similar system where you can switch it with L1, R1, I think. At the same time, you hold that down, you can switch between 2 different types of magic. Oh, so one type of magic is going to be like, it's kind of more range attacky magic, and the other one's very much like close-ended, like fire-based magic. and they're completely different. So ultimately, you have 12 spells at your disposal that you can switch between on the fly really quickly. And that's where it gets kind of overwhelming. Yeah. And you do have like a cooldown meter that tells you like, okay, once you spend a spell, some of them like do have a cooldown. So you have to wait for them, and you can like then switch between the different moves and stuff like that, back and forth and on the fly, all on the fly. And one thing that I read, I was watching a video of somebody playing this game, and they said that this would actually help a lot, because whenever you go into the big menu to change your spell, it slows down time. But apparently there's an accessibility feature you can add in there where instead of it slowing down time, it stops time. Ooh. So it gives you time to actually like, okay, what am I going to pick for this combat scenario? So I think that would actually make a difference.
I didn't make it a lot easier. That would have been way easier for me then.
Yeah. So that's something I would like to try that again, to give it a go and see if that like makes the process a lot simpler. Cause like I want to like read through stuff, but you're in combat and like, yeah, you're going slower, but
you're just thrown into
happening.
it.
Yeah. And I believe, Austin, you played, I think it was Final Fantasy, the one with the road trip, Final Fantasy 15 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That one had it where if you were like switching spells, didn't it stop time?
I think it would slow it down.
Or it would just slow down. Okay.
It slowed down pretty good. That's how I was curious like, how much this slows down.
That one, like,
this one does slow. Like it slows down quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't, I was still like anxious just because of the fact that I knew time wasn't stopping. I think that's what kind of threw me off of it.
Is that the way it's meant to be played?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I think if you like get used to the spells, that's what I was saying before. It's just like, I think in the beginning of this game, you're going to start off with 1Z, 2Z spells, and not all 12 of them. And you just get used to it and you're familiar with it. So the slowdown portion is like whenever you're this far into the game where you have them all, you already know what you're going to unlock, you know what you're going to do. So you kind of want the slow down time instead of the complete stop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But it is it seems like there's some really interesting spells in here. Like there's one that you can cast that creates this like circle of fire around you. And then anybody that comes into it just like starts burning. And then you can you can basically like trap an enemy inside of your circle of fire and just like wail on them. Or so if we're watching a video, you can see the example of circle of fire, but it's just like such a cool ability to visualize and like see in the gameplay, this like just fire thing just like pop up around you. And so combat, I mean, like there's a lot of depth here, and there's even like a whole skill tree system that you can get into where you can like unlock more advanced spells and like swap them out and expand all of that. And I didn't dig too deep into that because they didn't have a lot of that open to the demo. But it seems like there's a pretty extensive spell system that will unlock here. And that's the base point of combat is the spells. So
I'm curious. The graphics don't look that great.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, is this because it's a demo or?
It's the bit rate, I think, on the video that we're watching.
Well, no, even that, like, I feel like there's not a lot. The way the shadows are cast in the sunlight, like, it doesn't scream like, ooh, great graphics. So
that's the thing that I thought was one of the other things. Like, the comment that I made, the kind of intent behind this video is that Forspoken is a great game, but I think it's missing something. And I think it has this incredible combat system. It's got this massive open world that you can explore. The traversal is really cool because you basically, to traverse, it's like this magic parkour. You just hold down circle and you just start running across the world really fast. And when you go up to a wall, you just start climbing up that wall, like jumping and like climbing up there. There is a charge to it. So there's like a little meter in the bottom left corner of your screen that'll tell you like how many charges you have of the parkour system. And eventually you have to like then stop parkouring and then let it like refill. But other than that, you can just like start charging like crazy. But the thing about it that the world, for example, is, you know, the feeling we had when we first saw Sonic Frontiers? It was like an empty tech demo. That's what this felt like.
Wow.
It feels like I think it's actually a very good looking game. The frame rate sucks by default. If you played on like standard quality mode, 30 frames per second, garbage, terrible. Slower than 30. I feel like it was dropping frames. Then I switched it to performance mode, and then it was like much smoother and much better and stuff like that. But it felt worse than Gotham Knights when you're playing in like the standard quality mode. Man. They also have a ray tracing mode in there, so it's like ray tracing, performance, and then there's like quality. So I just put it on performance mode.
You can customize their nails?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't think you would see that often.
Yeah.
No. That's
Maybe
probably
the
like a
cutscene.
buff.
She's like, Hello.
I think it's a buff. It's like a buff mechanic kind of thing. Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
it gives you
That's
some
cool.
special abilities.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop
you're
you
fine.
from where you're going.
break
Just
zombie.
looking at it.
But the world is very empty, and I know this is not the only world they're gonna have because I mean I've seen screenshots of it. There's like desert worlds and there's like icy worlds and all these different things. So there's a lot of different variety there. But this one right now, like just honestly, this has the same problem I have with Legend of Zelda 2, and that just feels like it's a big ass empty world with nothing to do.
Legend of Zelda 2, Breath of the Wild 2.
Breath of the Wild, man.
Tears of the Kingdom.
But it's such a beautiful world to run through, but you're not discovering anything. Like, there's nothing there to like run across really. I mean, there are stuff. There's like markers in different areas, but it's just a very pretty tech demo. And that's what I'm really concerned about is that the world's not going to feel alive enough. Because like right now, you just run around. There's a bunch of bad guys you fight, and I think it's probably just from the demo perspective, but everything I've been reading like online, it's like they should not have released this demo because it's making a bad sign for the game.
Yeah. See, the thing with Breath of the Wild is it's so different from all the other games that the huge open vast world with nothing in it is forgivable because of all the history and lore and stuff that's in that world that you have to go and discover.
That's fair.
Which is how they market it too, is like, hey, this is an adventure. You're going to go out there and just explore a lot. And that's what people who really enjoy the game love doing.
Well, it's got a unique art style too,
Yeah,
like,
that too.
This one is just like, I mean, yes, it's really good graphics, but it's like, there's nothing in this world that's like, oh man, this is
right.
Like I could take this world and put it in any other game and it wouldn't be like, this does not have Forspoken. Like this, there's no character to this world to Forspoken. It just feels like,
well, it's a new IP.
Made a really nice looking world.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a Final Fantasy world, honestly.
Yeah.
And that could be kind of bland. But I get that might be their audience they're going for, honestly.
I mean, it definitely has a very heavy Final Fantasy vibe. Like, I feel like it's definitely leaning towards that direction.
And those games for me are hit or miss. Like, I really like the characters and cutscenes and stuff in those games. It's just, sometimes the world and the enemies are kind of, ugh.
Yeah.
So, especially with the last one.
The other thing that bothered me a lot about this game, like really, really bothered me. You guys know how I am about user interfaces and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the user interface.
This menu is the ugly. I mean, it's visually interesting, but it's so ineffective. They got this sense of like you're looking into like a glass that's curved or whatever.
Orb.
They're like an orb, yeah. So it's like it curves around when you're looking at it. So like there's big ass text that's like kind of curving into the edge, but it basically makes it really, really hard to read and navigate through any of the menus with the curve on there. I didn't look to see I'm hoping there's a way you can turn that off because it needs to be turned off because it's just really, really bad. And there's points where like you can, go in there and upgrade. You can upgrade your equipment, you can upgrade your magic and go through all that stuff.
I mean, this is Final Fantasy 15 menu system. It's a little more organized, I feel like, but this is like the upgrade trees and stuff you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Final Fantasy's got, I'm sure, a much better design, but
it's still weird, and I felt like theirs was still kind of crazy too.
Yeah.
Not the
Seems
most
like
intuitive.
it takes away that curve. Just seems like it takes away a lot.
Well, it's like there you don't even
available
you can't
space.
read it eventually. Yeah, it takes that away, and it's like stuff kind of like ringstone and stuff at the bottom, like towards the bottom, starts to get like kind of distorted a little bit. It's just a weird design choice.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I like the little like hover effects and things like that. It's just not really what it should be. So that I feel like is hopefully going to change. But
What does that say?
they have a month.
What's the big wording up there?
Archive.
Archive?
No.
The only
my
way
gosh.
you know is because of the tab at the bottom.
Oh.
That's like the only. Otherwise, like you can't read the freaking word up there. It's just
I feel like they're trying to be too unique.
it's stylistic, but not functional.
Let's be really artistic with this game.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to jump back into it this week a little bit to get a better feel for it because I should love this game.
Yeah,
But I think I'm just overwhelmed at the moment.
yeah.
So tell me again, this is just like a few story bits and a huge open world that you can go traversing and stuff?
Yeah, they give you at the very beginning, they give you like a 5-minute, like, here's the
Recap.
whole entire story of what's happening in this game, just to kind of like set the placement of it. And then they just drop you in, and it's just like, okay, here's a quick tutorial. Now go fight shit.
Yeah.
So they don't really get much into the story when you're like exploring the world, but they give you that and give you a teaser. Which the story itself like looks really really interesting.
Yes,
there's a lot of cool shit happening with like bad demony creature lady people and like all kinds of different environments and stuff like that. That looks really cool. It's just not well represented in here. This is just like, let's give you an open sandbox to play around with the mechanics, which they did, and it's not bad. I'm just like, I wish the world that they gave us like had a bit more uniqueness to it. Yeah, I am concerned about the combat. I mean, like, with her like parkouring around, like it's kind of slow. It sometimes takes a while. It kind of feels like when you're playing the Hulk and you have to like hop around the map.
Well, she does the little gliding thing though. Like I was doing that.
Yeah,
it's like a skate and just just glide across. That was pretty fun. But it seems like I should be going a little bit faster. I don't know why they're not doing it. But I don't know. I'm gonna jump back into it. It's just a demo. Hopefully, there's some kind of improvement.
Yeah.
Well, with being a new IP and stuff, like you really need to keep it tight with marketing and what you show people and setting expectations, because it's going to be huge.
Yeah. I still think the game's going to do well, though.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to hinder it that much.
Everything for me has had me hype. Like all the trailers they've released and stuff like that up until this demo came out. Ooh. And then it kind of like killed me. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, what was the point of the demo? Like, yeah, you want to build some hype, but gameplay is not going to be the thing that gets people hooked 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the point. I really think the point was just like check out our combat and how it works, which it succeeded at that. I think it works pretty well. I think I agree with you, Jason. I think it probably will like lean us into that system a little bit slower.
Yeah,
which I think will help a lot.
And that's what I'm really hoping for, but I do want to jump into this demo and try to get the hang of it.
Yeah.
So I can have a feel if I am going to enjoy this game or not.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't want to drop $70 on this and it just sits there and I'm just like...
Exactly. Yeah. Comes out at the end of January. So wow. I think if they fix that menu system and the worlds are more interesting and they make the spells a little bit easier, there's a lot of potential here. And then just the dialogue was kind of shitty, but hopefully that gets fixed later on down the line.
I don't think that's gonna get fixed.
Maybe it's just that moment, maybe this was dialogue that they wrote. They were like, let's just throw some dialogue in this demo just for the hell of it. I don't know if it's even like a piece of the story at all. You know what I mean? Like it may not even be.
We're just spoiled, man. Specific. We're just spoiled with fucking coming off of God of War Ragnarok.
That's true.
That's true. What sucks right now.
Everything sucks now.
I actually thought about replaying that fucking game. Like, I'm dead serious.
You should. By the time you finish the second time around, I'll probably have finished the game.
The first time?
Yeah,
I don't know, because, like, I've been waiting for him to play Goat Simulator 3 and Evil West, and, like...
We're about to talk about that.
Yeah, I know, and then play Fortnite with you, so I'm trying to control the urge just in case you guys want to play, and I'm not like, no, I want to play this game that I already beat again,
Well, you should do
if Forspoken sucks, then I'll just play goddamn whatchamacallit, God of War. Then.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'll just
play Forspoken and then see what happens after that. Yeah. Anyway, as of right now, though, my recommendation is wait for the reviews on this game. I want to see kind of how it reviews first, and then we'll see. And hopefully the piece that's missing, that I'm not quite feeling yet, will present itself when the full
play
game
the
comes
demo
out.
yourself and let us know. Maybe we missed out on something.
Maybe we're crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, well, y'all like to tell us how stupid we are. So
how wrong we are.
Like your shirt says.
Like my shirt said. Don't argue with idiots on the internet. I'm glad everyone's buying a PSVR 2. That's all I gotta say. So
damn right. Yes.
You got your $1,000 PlayStation 5 from Scalpers.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.